I wish. So, I live in Florida at the moment, but this is my virtual background. So I'm not on the beach. I'm on my table, like on my desk, basically.
In Florida, wow, okay. But it looks like this in reality, right?
Right. I mean, yeah, I sometimes go there, but these days we had a hurricane, so we're not going around beaches.
But when did you move?
Oh, 2 years ago, actually, 3 years ago now. So August 2020.
Ah, okay, but didn't you join us from France one time?
I used to join over Zoom, but then the timing, wasn't like matching my schedule because you guys start at 6,
Yeah.
which is 11 a.m. my time in Florida, and sometimes I'm busy. On Saturdays you just go out to do some shopping and stuff. So I stopped joining you, but today's topic is one of my favorites. I'm so into the environment and recycling and stuff. So I said that I need to free up my schedule and attend this session.
That's cool. We are so happy to have you.
Thank you. Yeah, and next time I visit Amman, I have to come in person and meet all of you, hopefully.
Inshallah.
Inshallah.
Ala, where are you driving to? You are muted.
In Amman.
In Amman. Okay. Driving to what? Joining us here? Are you driving?
No, I'm joining you online.
Yeah, I know, but I had hoped.
I don't know the location, the exact location of you.
Mamoon, where are you? In the train? Somewhere in Germany. Oh, Germany. Do you like our design? Yeah. Clicks plus internet. Okay. Great that you join us. So,
Good to see you, guys. Good to
yeah,
see
good
you.
to see you.
Nice connection.
Yeah, so welcome. Hope we have a good time together. Anna is presenting today and can't wait to hear how I improve my life.
Okay, I'm going to share the presentation. And I will. All right, do you see the presentation? Yes? Okay.
We do see, I'm sorry, we do see the presentation, but it's the notes slide, not the presentation mode. You just have to swap here. So yeah, if you go to display settings up there.
Where the display
So
settings?
exactly, yeah. Press on that. Click on that.
On that?
It should swap the screen.
Start from the beginning. Yeah, but this is the node mode.
Display settings.
Right, and swap presentation. That's the first one.
Ah, thank you very much. Now it's working. Do you see it?
Yes, perfectly. Thank you so much.
Okay, but you're sharing with them this screen, so they see this and we see that.
That's also not perfect. Sarah.
I mean, okay.
Yes, I think it's fine. Yeah.
It's all right. Okay, then let's start. Today we want to talk about environmental protection in everyday life. And I want to discuss with you a few things every one of us can do to contribute to environmental protection. And now, this is the agenda for today. So I will give you a short instruction on environmental key challenges. And then we're going to discuss about small steps that everyone can take. And I will present some ideas, some DIY eco projects with you. And when there's still time, we're going to discuss the difference between the carbon footprint and the ecological footprint. And to get us all into the topic, I want to show you a short film. You can't see it really good. Do you hear the sound?
No, nothing.
Today is doing, you have to take one the same as last time. Sound, the light, we can also show here, then we also.
بالمستقبل الناس مش هتلاقي معانا نكتب يعني دفتر أو هيك يعني مستقبل بالمعنى
Right now, we're facing a man-made disaster of global scale, our greatest threat in thousands of years.
Do you hear it now?
Climate change. If we don't take action, the collapse of our civilizations and the extinction of much of the natural world is on the horizon. The world's people.
Just a moment, we have a little problem here with the sound. I think it's possible to make it louder on this side. Yeah.
But I think
It's not coming out.
this is a regular. Maybe we can use the speakers. Yeah.
Okay. All right now.
Right now, we're facing a man-made disaster of global scale, our greatest threat in thousands of years, climate change. If we don't take action, the collapse of our civilizations and the extinction of much of the natural world is on the horizon. The world's people have spoken. Their message is clear. Time is running out.
The amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere now is 50% higher than it was in 1900. And not only are we piling in more and more carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, but we are chopping down the forests of the earth at a great rate. And the forests themselves are the most efficient consumers of carbon dioxide that there are on Earth. We're going to destroy the ground because the soil of a rainforest isn't very good. We are actually tampering with the climate of the Earth and with the very atmosphere that we breathe. When we talk about the disappearance of the ozone layer, we don't know what will happen when the ozone layer goes. The world has become so fragile that we cannot subject the Earth to the tortures we can now inflict upon it. When we talk about the greenhouse effect, we're talking about something that affects the entire Earth. And these problems are life and death problems. They go to the root of the viability of the planet itself. If there's one thing that is biologically certain about the human species, is that it is a human species, one species.
If we don't stop the destruction of our natural world, nothing else will matter. Simply put, if we don't protect nature, we can't protect ourselves.
The only way we can solve a problem is by a human solution. Never can we sit back and wait for miracles to save us. Miracles don't happen. Sweat happens. Efforts happens. Thought happens.
As one screen. Maybe the power machine. Vad det sitter i henne. Så han menar. So. So, now that you have seen the short film, my first question is, what are the environmental key challenges that we face today? And hello, I've seen that there are new people joining us. Hello, welcome. Yeah, and today everyone can just speak also online because we don't have this problem about the echo and several laptops. We have something what you cannot see here, but we have like a super high-tech camera and speakers. So online, just unmute yourself and share whatever you would like to share. And useful, you can just talk.
I think the pollution also. So basically, the main key challenge is the human himself. The carbon dioxide emissions.
Can I?
Yes, please.
Yeah. So I've heard something about the carbon dioxide that it has increased 50% than in the 1900s, I guess. I didn't hear that well, but obviously we're increasing the problem and we're not helping with the solution because we're also cutting from the forests, which are natural treatment for the carbon dioxide. They consume carbon dioxide and we're cutting more forests. So it's not that we're only creating a problem, but we're also eliminating the solution.
Thank you. True. You started to say something.
I also want to say deforestation. So basically, famous. He has already said something. Maybe the overuse it. I don't know if it's the word, but fossil resources like coal or oil, gas, oil. Also, normal resources like
where it will also be overly exploited for sand, for example, also a problem.
Also, waste management has become a major problem globally.
I think drinking water also.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much. You mentioned it all, but I'm giving you a short input. Like, those are the environmental key challenges. We've mentioned pollution, waste disposal, global warming, ocean acidification as well, and deforestation. And what that means is, like, starting with pollution, it's one of the biggest environmental problems that we're facing nowadays, and especially the outdoor air pollution and emissions from vehicles and industrial processes and agriculture contribute to air pollution, and that really harms human health and also the whole ecosystem. And you can see that really there. Can you read that?
Yeah.
Is that possible?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. And also the use of single-use plastics has led to plastic pollution in the oceans, in terrestrial environments, and it's harming wildlife, and also entering our food chains. The next thing is the waste disposal, like you said already. Inefficient waste management and also the generation of vast amounts of waste contribute to environmental degradation, especially the plastic waste is contaminating oceans and rivers. And currently, roughly 14 million tons of plastic make their way into the ocean every year. And that's a number, right? That's a number. And global warming, one has also to say all those environmental key challenges, they are linked to each other. So they, can't be without each other. Like global warming, like climate change is the most significant environmental challenge, and the emission of greenhouse gases due to human activity causes global warming, which in turn causes an increase in temperature that then leads to rising sea levels, melting of polar ice caps, flash floods, and desertification. And the ocean acidification and water scarcity, we'll also mention that one, is also because of the increased carbon dioxide levels in the air and in the ocean. And also an excessive amount of waste is dumped in the ocean. Especially problematic is nuclear waste, which is particularly dangerous. As well as plastic and electronic waste. And also many regions in the world are already experiencing water scarcity, like for instance Jordan, due to overuse pollution and the impacts of climate change. And if you have any question, just feel free to distract me. Now we have also deforestation. That is particularly important in regions where it continues at an alarming rate, like for instance, the tropical forests and tropical regions, and the loss of trees in order to make a place for residential spaces, industrial or agricultural projects, and in industrial projects, that means that less oxygen is produced by the trees, and that the temperature and rainfall are affected. And most people don't know that. Most people think that we need rain to grow trees, but without trees, there is no rain because that's connected, and a lot of people don't know that. And it has also a big impact on biodiversity, livelihood of local communities, and now I want to present you 4 more key challenges: the loss of biodiversity, desertification, natural disasters, and resource depletion. The loss of biodiversity, the conversion of natural habitats into agricultural land and urban areas, and also the infrastructure development leads to the destruction and fragmentation of habitats, which is the primary cause of biodiversity loss. Also overhunting, overfishing, that leads to the decline in biodiversity and habitat destruction, pollution, and invasive species like the human species and climate change are also causing the loss of biodiversity. Desertification is also something that has already been mentioned. And desertification refers to the process by which fertile land becomes desert or experiences a significant decline in productivity. And currently, about 500 million people live within areas that have experienced desertification since the 1980s. Also, Jordan is one of those lands. And yeah, that has also economical and social problems. For example, forced migration. A lot of people are not able to live in their areas anymore because they can't grow plants, they can't have enough water, they can't sustain themselves, so they have to flee and change the land. And of course, natural disasters is also a big problem, like more frequent and severe disasters like hurricanes, wildfires, tornadoes, and floods are big challenges. And those disasters can significantly affect public health as well by causing injuries and fatalities, of course, but also by contaminating water sources with pollutants, increasing the risk of waterborne diseases. That is the last key challenge I want to present to you, is the resource depletion. The unsustainable use of natural resources like water, minerals, fossil fuels, animals like fish, that is depleting essential resources, and we do that faster than they can be regenerated and reproduced. So we are using too much and without care. That's the biggest problem, and especially the modern consumer-driven economy encourages us to do so. For example, very easy, when you have a mobile phone, a lot of people don't buy used phones. No, they want to get a new one, even though their own is not really broken yet. And that is a problem because they rely on rare materials, minerals, and yeah, also like fossil fuels, coal, oil, and natural gas are finite resources. And that's also why a lot of people now focus on having renewable energy sources, such as windcraft, watercraft. Yes, that was my short input, and I hope it was not too fast. But now my next question is, what effects of climate change have you personally experienced? How, where, and when? So it's really about your own, what you have already seen and noticed in that.
I think the period of the semesters, the beginning of the summer, it was before starts like May, middle of May, something like that. Now start from the end of March. So it begins sooner and ends later, like at the end of November, something like that. It's supposed to end at October, I think. So, yeah, that's not more than that.
Back in Germany,
I'm sorry, do you now hear us better?
So when you talk, I hear you well because you're in front of the laptop, but when others talk, there's a bit of an echo.
can really shut down your laptop microphone? Is it just that way? I don't know.
We try something.
You can mute yourself or then.
It's really hard for you to change the setup. I understand. It's okay. We can still hear people, but there's a bit of an echo. That's it. That's the problem.
All right, maybe also someone sitting here can talk. Maybe there's someone.
Back here in Germany, I lived in Heidelberg for the last year, and we've experienced a huge drought like never before, and that was kind of depressing and very new to us all. So there was like huge parts of forests. We had a lot of dead trees and how do you say that? Cancer. Yeah, and the like harvest for a year was completely yeah, it was gone. Yeah, actually it was gone. So this.
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, I would like to say something about that. Yeah, about the question, what effects? Yes.
Yes,
You hear
please.
me? You hear me? Oh?
Very good. Perfect. We're waiting
Okay.
for comment.
Okay. I would like to say that what we see or what we had experienced this summer is one of the hottest summers in my life. This is too much. This is an experience that is does not targeted me. It targeted all of you. This is one. Second thing, in my life, which extends to more than 60 years, the quantity of trash that we see every day, everywhere, is too much. Is too much. That's unusual. And the type of trash is also becoming more plastic, more synthetic materials that their degradation takes a lot of time, and this is poisonous for the environment. And you may also include the rate of using the non-renewable resources like oil and its derivatives. As you see, cars are more than before. Every year there are more cars and more cars and more cars, more vehicles, not only cars and planes, inauguration of new airports, inauguration of new streets, and it means more cars and more consume of non-renewable resources. There is a lot to talk about from my experience, and I think you are all aware of this point. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Can I speak?
Yes, please.
I speak. Yes. I do believe that everything should have a solution. Yani the cars we should all use the transportation that will take more people using less fuel. We should make it not easy for us and use the renewable stuff so that we will make it less the waste that we produce from plastics. Use the stuff that we can. And everything should be like everything is the environmental issues, the problem of it, because the people are using the easier ways. That's it. خلاص, why use the bus? خلاص, I'm going with the car. Why walk? I'll use the car. Why eat? Why wash the dish? No, I will use a plastic thing. Everything, small bits make big change. That's what I think.
Thank you.
May I add something from my also experience? Hello?
Please go ahead, please.
Yes. As I was in the USA in the Fulbright Scholar, as Fulbright Scholar in 2003, we were hosted in what is called International House in Davis University. And this International House has 3 floors. One floor, which is the basement floor, there are many rooms. And by chance, I passed through a room where was written on meeting. And by chance, I knocked and opened to see what a meeting is. And there were many seniors, old people, women and men. And I was hesitated to enter, but they said, no, it is an open meeting, come on. I entered, and on the board was written the major global dilemmas, or I mean problems. And I sat down with them, and they started. There was one who writes what we suggest, and they wrote about 22 or more problems that face humanity. One of them, for example, terror. Another one, overpopulation. Another one, environmental degradation, resources depletion, wars, conflicts, everything. And they asked us to vote on 5, which are the most important 5. And we voted on 5 of them. It means we canceled 17. And among the 5 was the overpopulation. And they asked us to vote over 2. And we voted over 2, and overpopulation was one of them. And they said, vote now for 1. And it was the overpopulation. So this is, the thing is the overpopulation that they named it the societal dynamo that moves, and it will consume everything if we don't stop this dynamo from bringing more and more children on this globe. I myself, really, I'm intended to say it is, yes, it is a problem. If we don't have many, I mean, if you look to some families and they said with honor that I have 10 children or 8 children or 7 children or even 4 children, that's really something that must stop. And I appreciate what China did in this respect. And you see what China becomes as it took major steps to stop this societal dynamo from going on with no regulation. So this is what I would like to say about the environmental pollution, environmental degradation, and resources depletion. If we don't put our minds in our heads and say it clearly, we have to put what we may say a reproduction policy, a keen, rational reproduction policy that prevents people from overpopulation. Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah.
Guys in this room.
I can share something I experienced at home in Germany. We had floods Like it was terrible. People had to move out their houses. They can't use their cars. It was really water up to the knees. Well, I'm short, but anyway.
We had also floods that went 10 meters high.
Yeah.
It was just in the Ahrtal. That's like half an hour from over the car from where I live. And that was really like terrible because also the warning system didn't work and the people didn't knew. And then the flood came. Like it was a small river and there was rain that came in a very unpleasant direction. And it's like you have mountains and here you have villages and a river, but the river is really small. And this river collected all the rainfall and went 10 meters high and took everything with it. And I think this is also like caused by the climate change that we have more extreme things like this and more often. So the frequency is higher and the
intensity.
Yeah, the intensity. Yeah.
And let's move on. So we all agree that it's urgent, and we all did recognize something. Things are going really wrong. So now I want to ask you, what can you do in everyday life? What are really small things that you can start doing that contribute to environmental protection?
I can stop smoking.
Okay.
Can I share?
Yes, please.
So on a weekly basis in my hometown here, we have a program that we are engaged with. They send a truck that collects the recycled material. So we have two bins, for example. One bin is for plastic and glass and anything that is solid, and the other bin is for cardboards, paper, whatever is carton made. So they collect it every single week and it goes to the recycling center. So inside the house, whatever is put in the trash is purely trash, but whatever is gonna get recycled, then we separate it and we take it to the recycling. So this way we're trying individually to save whatever we can save, right?
Thank you.
Shopping, you can use something reuse, not like plastic bags. Something.
Or maybe save water by, for example, taking a short shower, or don't. If you boil water, just put in the amount of water you want to use, and not boil a liter and use like half of it, something like this.
Other ideas?
Also, we could try to use more public transport instead of private cars to avoid emissions in the city.
It's actually what I wanted to say as well. But in addition to also add that if we travel, we also should think about how we travel, and if there's like possibilities, maybe not to fly or take the car.
Did you understand that?
I heard something about carpooling, using buses instead of private cars. Is that what was it? What it was?
Yes, you can use public transportation instead of own cars.
100%.
You have any ideas, guys?
during the COVID lockdown, I love the law that they forced on us that this day only the vehicles with odd numbers, and the other day is the only with the vehicles with even numbers. I wanted it to stay like this so that we will consume less fuel. Yeah, the people in the same apartment, in the same building, we used to go in one car altogether because we cannot go in 3 cars now. It was really good.
He said there was a law before for using private cars. If your last number is odd number or even number, odd numbers going like Sunday, Wednesday, Friday. Yeah.
I didn't know that. Very interesting. Thank you. Really good.
I think another thing in everyday life is we should use less like single-use products, as single-use plastics in general, not only shopping bags, but also with packaging, for example. And nowadays, at least in Germany, there's kind of a trend to go buy groceries that aren't packaged in plastic, but are like free of packaging, or to check, for example, like in a lot of cosmetic products or also soaps and shampoos and stuff, there's microplastic, and maybe that's also something that you could check in your everyday life to buy products that doesn't contain microplastics or things like that as well.
Yeah.
Also, maybe the type of food you eat. So you maybe if you go shopping, you don't buy something from very far away. So you try to reduce emissions caused by transport, or you also watch out to buy less clothes, for example. It's also major contribution to climate change. Yeah, maybe watch out for the type of food you eat. So
thank you.
Well, yeah. Can I? Or
yes, please go
okay.
ahead.
Yeah. This is one point that is really tough, especially for Jordanians. But if we consume less meat, and focus on changing our diet to be more into like a vegetarian diet or a vegan one, that helps as well, because and this needs a whole session by itself, right, to talk about why consuming less meat can help the environment, because you're dedicating more forest areas to raising like animals, cows and others, and they have side effects. So you're helping to increase the issue of the deforestation, and at the same time, the methane gas coming out from these cows is just increasing the global warming. So sometimes we take it lightly in the Middle East, but this is a real problem, you know.
Thank you very much. And that's really important. We are going to talk about that later on. Thank you.
Please let me know in that session.
So now I'm going to give you some small tips. This was really, really good ideas, and I also have some of them. So yeah, here are just some ideas how you can contribute right now. For instance, really easy yet effective, use trash cans. Like probably disposing of waste in trash cans prevents litters from ending up on the streets and in the nature in parks. And a small tip here is you can, for instance, carry a trash bag where you can collect all the trash you have until you find a proper trash can where you can put it in. And you can also encourage others and be a role model, especially for children. Like when they see what their parents are doing or elderlies are doing, that really helps. So, question for you, how long do you think does it take to decompose plastic? Because especially in Jordan, we see a lot of plastic lying on the streets and in nature. Just some guesses, what do you think?
Let's say the other slide.
Don't look at it. Don't look at it. For example, how many years for a plastic bottle? 20, I guess. 30?
But
I could have said 300.
maybe not all.
Like, and I mean, like decomposes, how long does it take for plastic to rot and to disappear?
I would guess like 1,000 years, but you know, I see like
For plastic, I
1,000 years.
would have said 300 for plastic, to be honest.
300?
Yes.
I don't see the slide, but I would say 500 years at least.
All right. Any other guesses? Okay, now here's the solution. For a plastic bag, it takes 20 years. For a coffee cup, 30 years. For plastic straws, 200 years. A plastic cup, 450 years. Plastic toothbrushes, 500 years. So it's insane. You can see it. And also plastic water bottle, 150 years. It's really ridiculous. Yeah, it's ridiculous. And that's also why it's important to use trash cans, even if it's really simple, but it helps.
Wow.
So let's move on. That's why you should avoid plastic. Reducing plastic usage is essential due to its harmful impact on the environment. And you can carry reusable bags. I don't know. For instance, when you go shopping, instead of using those bags provided by the stores, you can say no to plastic cutlery. For instance, when you order food to take out, just use your own at home. And replace plastic wraps and sandwich bags like reusable bags. Eat less meat. We heard that from Anna's. Anna. Reducing meat consumption can significantly contribute to protecting nature for several reasons. And here are some tips for that. You don't have to go straight to like vegetarian or say I don't eat meat ever again, but you can have like meatless days. Like designate specific days of the week as meatless days. And plant-based meals instead, or be just mindful of the portion, just reduce the meat, see it as a side, not as the main dish. And you can also explore new recipes because there are a lot of recipes without meat. You can just check on that.
Even in the Middle East.
Even in the Middle East, yeah. So, do you know why meat production harms the environment? Anas just gave us an insight to that.
Because it takes a lot of water to produce, for example, 1 kilogram of meat. It takes a lot. I don't know the numbers, but it's really unbelievable, for example. And the lands that could be used as an agricultural lands is used for the massive production of the animals as well. So yeah, that's what I know.
Many cows are also fed with grain, should also be used to just be eaten by humans, and also causes. It also needs a lot of room to grow, obviously. Also deforestation.
A lot of areas are also deforested and produce yeah, like as you said, feed for animals, so for agricultural purposes, and it also like produces a lot of monoculture, so like massive agricultural spaces that just grows one particular type of crop and over a certain cycle of years. That also destroys the grounds because there's no crop rotation or anything like that. But because the demand is so high, it's still lucrative for a short period of time.
Thank you. Did you understand that? Oh, she was also talking about the deforestation and about that a lot of space is needed and also places where it could be used for agriculture for humans to eat. They plant crops to feed the animals. Also big parts of the rainforest, for instance. All right, then any additions? use a small summary. Global livestock production creates more greenhouse gas than the entire transportation sector. And also 33% of the Earth is entire land surface is used to produce crops to feed the animals. And livestock production uses the majority of the Earth's agricultural land, which you can see here. Shifting to a planet forward diet could reduce land use by 80%. That's like really huge. And also the water is a big part of the story.
I like the stats. I like the stats you showed us, Anna, but I think it's not very accurate because you see, there is no one-on-one correlation between eating no meat and helping significantly the environment. Because if I'm very consequent and I say, okay, I don't eat meat, I shouldn't eat avocados who are in their water intake as high as I think the 3/4 of the meat production. You shouldn't eat your soy and the soy products, which often people use to replace the meat consumption. So in order to save all of this water, you also be very conscious about with which kind of food you are replacing the meat. So often I feel like it's very difficult to quantify how much you would probably help the environment if you very strictly don't eat meat, because the other aspects of what you will consume in order to kind of balance out your new diet is very hard to quantify. Like you have to always keep this in your equation. So that's why I said no one-on-one correlation.
Maybe I
I'm sorry, did you understand what Adam just said?
I understood, and I totally appreciate what she said. Yet I just want to mention one thing. It's not a debate. I respect what she said. It's just that avocados and other like vegetables don't cause global warming, right? It's not like cows who fart the whole time. I'm sorry to say this, but they just produce lots of gas. So avocados doesn't do this, and yeah, so they're not as harmful as the meat production industry, right? So
yeah, I just wanted to respond to the argument with the soy, because like at the moment, most of the soy, I think 98% is, or about 90% is used for animals, and it's fed to animals, and they eat way more than we would eat if we eat soy. So if you eat soy, but the animals don't, it's like better because you eat less soy than the animal would eat for the same amount of calories, for example.
The soy in Europe is used in Europe most of the time, so not a problem that speeds up deforestation in South America, because it's most of the time it's produced in Europe.
It has to be,
not most of the time. It has to be produced in Europe if you eat it.
Yeah, but not the soy that is fed to the animals. Yeah,
that's good. That's true. Yeah, I wanted to add as well that I think meat is always mentioned in this context because it's the water, then it's the farting. I like the word. And it's also the pure space that the cows need to grow, like where they live. So in order to raise a steak, you need to crop trees, but in order to have an avocado, you need to plant a tree. So yeah, for me, just all these things come together in this nutrition, meat and chicken.
Okay, thank you very much. The next tip is just goes with what Laura said, planting trees. Because trees play a vital role in maintaining ecological balance and supporting biodiversity. And there are some tips on that. Like if you want to plant trees, choose native species. Opt for native tree species that are well adapted to the local climate and support the local ecosystem. And select appropriate sites. And you have to care for newly planted trees. Like ensure that newly planted trees receive adequate care, like watering and weeding and protecting from pests. And what also could help is if you help to perceive bees, not bees, and other pollinators. Pollinators, including bees and butterflies, birds, they play a vital role in maintaining ecosystems and biodiversity, and they help global food security to maintain that. And yeah, so they facilitate the reproduction of flowering plants by transferring pollen, which leads them to new plants to grow. And yeah, they are really essential. And those species are facing a significant threat at the moment. So it's really also a thing for us to do. And you can, for instance, plant pollinator-friendly gardens, like plant flowers that attract them. Sunflowers, for instance, and you can avoid pesticides, like opt for natural alternatives, if that's possible, or use pesticides that do not harm bees. And if you really have to use them, then be aware of when to use them, like for instance, spray them when it's winter's weather, and early in the morning or late at night when they're not all around. You can support organic agriculture, like choose products and use that encourage farming that is less harmful to pollinators. If you have beekeepers, buy their products. And you can raise awareness, like educate your children and also adolescents on the importance of bees and their role also in our food production and the ecosystem. Okay, those were my tips, but now I have another question. That's what can you do, like really build a DIY eco projects, maybe with children or yeah, in your garden if you have one. Do you have any ideas? Or yeah, or even on the balcony.
I'm sorry. Can you repeat the question?
Yes.
I'm sorry, we didn't hear you well. Can you repeat the question?
I'm sorry, my question is, what can you do at home, like build by yourself, like DIY, do-it-yourself eco projects in your garden, balcony, or outside with children?
To build like insect hotels. I don't know if it's a thing here, but actually it's actually quite fun and it's really easy to do, and you can also recycle a lot of materials to develop them, and it just gives space to insects to the nests that I brought into and stuff. And yeah.
Did you hear that? She was suggesting building insect hotels that are small like houses built up renewable things like wood, and where they can just crawl in and yeah, reproduce themselves as well.
That's not a chef special. Composting, composting might be the time here.
Composting.
Maybe you can try this one.
No.
No. Yeah.
It's proposed. That's true. Another idea would be urban gardening, like start growing even small amounts of food on the balcony, like tomatoes. I don't know what's that is for the local farm.
Yeah, I feel like there's also a trend right now in Germany to build like I don't know what's called in English, but like Hochbeete. It's like what is beets in English? Like this is like a big box like a table, But it's empty, and you put like soil in it, and then you plant things in the soil, and you can put it everywhere on the balcony, in the garden, and you don't have to have like what?
Just follow that.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, you don't need like a ground where you plant plants in this whole way.
But what's the difference between hoopit and a normal box to plant?
It's the same. Or like
People are not working on it or over it. And I think for some things you need to have more soil.
yeah,
To plant them and
like not like flowers or something. You plant like tomatoes, cucumbers, like vegetables.
And this cannot grow in a Blumenkasten. Sorry.
Yeah, in a little.
Yeah, I think you need more space and you have to have more soil. Soil. Yeah, I think it's like really from the size, it's like similar to this table, I think, but like they are different. Like everyone builds how they would like. Yeah.
Well, here at home, I have a couple of raised beds where I grow vegetables in them. So I grow tomatoes, cucumbers, sweet pepper, basil, lots of stuff. And I do composting as well. So whatever we have, like leftover food, not dairy. So I don't put meat or anything dairy in it, but whatever like leftover vegetables, fruits, peels, I always take it out to the compost, and this is the like free fertilizers for the raised beds that I have. One more thing I would like to mention is that my hometown has a program for collecting rain. So they distribute barrels for some houses, and we can just collect the water rain so that we can use it to water our plants instead of using water from the city water. I don't know if everyone got that point, but we have gutters. So when it rains, there are gutters on top of the roof, like channels, which lead the water into those barrels. So basically you have free water for your plants.
Okay, thank you. We also have a message in the chat. Individual, recycle as much as you can. Have not more than 2 children. Use any alternative than plastic. Use your car only when needed and no alternative. Never burn plastics. No use of pesticides. Carcinogenic, and much more. Thank you for that. Okay.
I'm asking the questions for the artists of Jordan because I only arrived last night really late. And is there like what's the like waste system like here? Are there like different kinds of catchments or is it all connected together?
So she asked about the situation here in Jordan. What does waste management look like here in Jordan? I don't know.
Now we have only some here south.
Sorry. I just arrived from Portugal. Good question, first of all. I think it's starting to be like differentiated, but usually it's the same thing for everything. Doesn't matter. But currently, I think like 1 year or 2 years ago, they took something from Germany, the cars that moves and divide the stuff. This is what currently happening, but generally it's all the same trash can.
And some people start to earn money from this. They go to trash box and they start to collect the plastic or something can to resell to earn money from it.
Or cables.
But then wood or plastic or can from trash can. But in general or trash better.
So the individual households don't separate it?
No.
going through a trash can.
Yes,
looking
yes,
for where
yeah.
we can take pieces, throw all the other.
Oh, yes,
And also what I noticed here and what I really liked, when you have this Arabic bread, the flat bread, too many from one event or too much, they hang it on the waist and from the outside. There are some like, yeah, you find a spot to hang it in a plastic bag, so they don't throw it inside. So people in need who really even struggle for bread, take it from there.
Yeah, I think I saw it. I wonder what it is, but
Yeah.
maybe it's.
Sorry, I have another question. Concerning the water, is it quite common to also have built-in filters to make it possible to drink the tap water rather than having the canisters of water or like the individual bottles? Like, is that common in individual households or not that much?
We have the filtering system, like for the tap water is not drinkable, but we have the filters, so we can drink from the tap water.
And also there are companies for the water dispenser who offer it in glass. Not in plastic.
And then another question in the same thing. Like 10 liter canisters that we now have, it's from plastic. I think it's 1 use. But I saw that some people collect them like on their balconies or something. Is it like brought to some certain place, or is it also in the trash cans that are on the street?
Again, the first part of the question, what was it?
Like the water that you bought now are like 10 liter canisters.
The blue ones?
Like 10 liters, and it's plastic with the like yeah. But I saw that some people don't throw it in the trash, like the non-trash, but they collect them. But I don't know if it's
maybe they refill them.
Some company in some malls, you can put there is machine, put them there, and you collect, let's say, others or something like coins or rebuy something from there. It's not in all malls, malls sometimes, especially Nestle.
Also, there are some people who collect them to sell it.
Yes, yeah.
For recycling.
And also the one we have here, check if it's the same as you talk about, I don't know, but the one here, you only get the new one when you give them the empty one. So I'm not sure.
I think this is like for the like you can just open it, you have to stick it in the safe. Yeah.
But maybe on the balcony you saw this time.
Maybe, yeah.
Because then you put it in front of your door on when it comes to you Monday.
Yeah.
And they take it and they put you on full charge.
Okay.
And for 2.5 years I always asked myself, also we live in a small family with one day. How come not somebody else takes it, you know, because sometimes I leave it all day in front of my house because I work.
Yeah.
This is not even a question here. Like no one would dare to take it.
Yeah.
In Germany, it would be gone after
I think it's like and this is also solid plastic. It's not, it's like the bottle, but 10 liters. And
throw it and someone finds it and let it maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. Most of the things you said I have now as, for instance, start a compost bin, like Anna says, start a small compost in your backyard, or maybe also in a public.
I wanted really to ask Rasha how it is in Egypt, if there's any difference to what she did in Jordan. Rasha?
Hello.
Hi. How is the waste system in Egypt?
Okay, I'm not going to speak about Egypt. I'm going to speak about especially in Upper Egypt because I'm living in Upper Egypt. I would like to speak about the global warming and this summer. It's very hot, the hottest summer ever. In Upper Egypt, the weather is always hot, but this summer we have unusual humid all the day, and at night the temperature at night is maybe 39 at some nights. So this weather is very strange to us. It is as it's unusual to have summer like this. We need a lot of environmental learning here in Upper Egypt. We have many bad practices that we actually do in Upper Egypt, like burning the dried crops and all of this, making the pollution in environment. But I work in an international organization, and we trying to make this project. We teach young people and young children to plant their roofs, their balconies, and all of this eco education. So I'm going to mute because we have there is the call for the prayer. Okay.
Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Okay, then I'll just continue with the composting. Composting reduces food waste and enriches your soil, and it's a really natural process using a warm composting system. And yeah, it's the process that turns organic materials into nutrient-rich soil. And here are just some things. Like you have to set a location, like select a suitable spot in an outdoor area that would be well drained and receives partial sunlight. And what to compost, Anna's already said he's not composting meat or fish scraps. That's very important. Also, you should not compost non-compostable things like tin cans and plastic, and sand, coal, colored or glossy paper. But instead, you can throw there like kitchen scraps, yard waste, and other organic materials. And in Germany, it's really common. Like I think you have that in your garden, maybe, because I do. Yeah. It's a really common thing to do. Another thing is layering. You can start your compost pile by layering brown materials, like those that are really carbon rich, like that leaves, for instance, with green materials that are nutrient rich, like chopped grass, fruit scraps, stuff like that, and then you just drop it in. And you can use your compost when it's done, and yeah, it's just really good soil. And of course, it needs time and patience, because that can take up to months or almost over a year. Now you can build birdhouses and feeders, for instance, also out of, here you can see in that picture, out of tins, like in cans, like that's something you can do. And so here we already heard that you can also build an insect house, and they serve as a shelter and nesting place for various beneficial insects, and they attract also pollinators such as solitary bees and butterflies. And these insects have fertilized flowers. I talked about that earlier. So you can build that out of natural and untreated materials to ensure the health and also safety of the natural wood. Not the wood, the pollinators, of course. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, the primary material is natural and wood and logs and branches, and you control that with whatever you want, dry leaves or sticks, old paper, and put that whole box in a warm and dry and also quiet place, and also against a flat surface that is sheltered from the wind. The next idea I have for you is just make homemade gifts, like eco-friendly gifts. They are thoughtful and you can do them by yourself. You don't have to buy a lot of stuff for, you know, birthdays and stuff. Here are some ideas you can make, for instance, soap on your own, or create candles, make homemade jam or other like spices maybe, or just give away reusable cups. That's really thoughtful and eco-friendly. And it also helps to reduce your carbon footprint. And that is my next question. 10 minutes. 10 minutes. What is the carbon footprint? Does anyone know that? I think you mentioned it earlier.
Yeah, well, it's basically it shows how much well, carbon dioxide you are emitting. So it shows well, you can, there's a certain type of website where you can look how much how big your carbon footprint is, and it will ask you a few questions about your lifestyle, about how much you drive your car, and then it will get a solution, or well, yeah, solution on how much tons of CO2 equivalent you are emitting every year, and you can compare it to other nations, or yeah, and we'll see how much you're emitting. Basically.
Okay, I looked it. So it's the total amount of greenhouse gas, including carbon dioxide, but also methane, other that are directly or indirectly generated by our actions. And the average carbon footprint, 4.7 tons for only one person. And you can differentiate between like direct emissions and indirect emissions. So direct emissions are those emissions that result directly from the activities of an individual, an organization, or an event. So they are generated immediately through the combustion of fossil fuels or other processes that release CO2, carbon dioxide. And the indirect emissions are those emissions that result from the production and transportation of products that we use, and also services. So for instance, here are some examples for direct emissions, like the vehicle emission, of course, heating and cooling, like burning oil and gas, or open burning, just burning waste, or agricultural residues in the open air that results also in direct emissions of CO2 and gases. And indirect is, for instance, the supply chain impact. Like indirect emissions encompass the CO2 and greenhouse gas generated through the entire supply chain of a product, and includes also the extraction of raw materials, manufacturing, the transportation, disruption, and disposal. And also indirect is the consumer impact, that the impact we have by buying products, and also our choices. Yeah.
And something.
Please.
Some calculators also calculate depending on which type of infrastructure is present in the country. So it also calculate the effects of the infrastructure on the country. So because a building has to be built, the materials have to be transported to the building site, and so on. This all creates also pollution, also part of your carbon footprint.
Thank you. I would suggest that we skip the production for now, because that would take too much time, and skip a little bit forward. be aware of your own impacts. Now, to close this home, I have something you mentioned before. We can measure our carbon footprint. And yeah, there is. I will show you that. Attention. We have a problem with sharing the website here. So Anna, I can give you the link. And you can try it by your own. You have to answer some questions, and then at the end you get a result of how many Earths you will need if you continue your lifestyle the way you do it right now. I will share it with you.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
We need one volunteer as an example to calculate the footprint. Hey, did you just fly back from Portugal?
Okay. Unfortunately, you cannot see it. I don't know what happened, but we can't give you the picture, so you just have to trust me. First question: how often do you eat animal-based products? Not only meat, but also eggs, milk,
Daily.
honey.
Daily.
Daily. So.
How many times?
I'll be transparent and honest. Okay.
So, you make it more clear. Beef or lamb?
Beef.
Yeah. How often? Daily?
No, not beef. It's not daily. No.
Often?
4 times a week. 3 times a week. 4 times. Okay, 3 times a week.
Manasif.
Often or not often?
You don't eat pork?
No.
Poultry. Poultry, like chicken.
2 times, 3 times a week. The other 3 days.
Fish or shellfish?
Once a week.
Once a week. Oh, it's okay. Once or twice a week here. Eggs, cheese, and or dairy.
You can say 3 times a week.
Right, yeah, let's see. Please remind me also.
There's,
Ja.
there's,
Sind das jetzt zwei Sachen? Kannst du sagen, wir kann das Ganze.
Oh, wow.
Okay, aber jetzt musst du mit der Maus auch hier rüber. Okay. Jetzt guckst du da hin.
aber kannst du die Milch nicht infizieren?
Ja, es war ja vorher auch
Ach so,
so.
ach so.
Irgendwas weiß ich jetzt nicht, kann man jetzt nicht mehr klären.
But now we see what I typed in here, right?
Yeah.
Next question. How much of the food that you eat is unprocessed, unpackaged, or local from
I don't understand the question.
the food? How much is it? The food that you buy?
Do you buy the chicken alive?
No.
Or do you buy it in a plastic?
Ready to be eaten. Ready to be eaten.
Yeah, unpackaged as well. Packaged locally grown.
I don't think it's locally grown, no.
But is it only the meat or everything?
No, everything.
Ah,
No,
so
that's
That's
I would say 50-50, yeah.
yeah.
Less than 320 kilometers, that includes a lot.
And 200 miles.
Yeah, Jordan's small, so it's fine.
So it's 2 countries around even.
Yeah, but still then it's packaged.
Next question. Which housing type best describes your home? So, do you live in
Apartment?
apartment? But multi-story apartment?
Or luxury.
So a multi-story apartment
It could be.
could be like that, like
Yes, more of us.
more or less the luxury. What material is your house constructed with?
God, how would I know?
Stone.
Strict concrete. Yes.
Brick or concrete? All right.
Yeah.
Next question. How many people live in your household?
Well, let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5.
Five. Oh,
Yes.
Five. And what is the size of the is it tiny or big?
It's, it's like me or somebody. Sure. You can go for 180 meters.
You're like that?
Okay, yes.
Okay. Do you have electricity?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
perfect. How energy efficient is your home? Are you?
What is that? What should that mean?
Like, how does it, like, for instance,
It's like consumption of electricity.
yeah,
like
if it's.
AC, then
Yeah, and what kind of lighting do you use? Like, does you shut it off when you're not there, or is it burning all the time?
But efficient means like in a good way, or
Efficient is a good way. If it's efficient, it's
I
good.
would say medium.
Like average.
Yes.
No, but you put that
Come on, give me some scope.
above, that's above average, so average.
Okay, go for average.
Oh, wait, that's nice. How often do you turn your heater or air conditioner on during this energy?
No, I would say above average then.
Oh,
Yes, that's fine.
what percentage of your home's electricity comes from renewable sources?
I think none. Like, I'm not
Can I ask a question really quick?
Sure.
Is solar,
Allowed?
like solar panels
Yes.
common?
Yeah, not common, but it's becoming common
Okay.
slowly. For now, I would say none.
No,
Mm.
so. Compared to your neighbors, how much trash do you generate?
Right now, I don't count my neighbors' traffic. It's garbage. That's too much. I would go for same.
Same. How far do you travel by car or motorcycle each week?
Oh God, each week, but how much?
Not much?
I would count like, I would go for 100 kilos. Make it 130. No, weekly.
Like that?
But what about the other one?
And you don't drive motorcycle or do you?
No. I don't drive.
So you're-
Enjoy it at least.
What is your average fuel economy of the vehicles you use most often? Is your car efficient or inefficient?
It should be inefficient. But I don't have.
Efficient.
I don't have a car, so
Oh, you don't have it, so. Well, you can put it on really efficient.
Yeah. And what kind of cars do you use?
I don't. I use transportation, so taxi, buses.
Yeah, we know that is efficient.
But what do they use? Because like
It's different. They have electric cars, but they also have more. When you travel by car, how often do you carpool?
What is carpool?
Share car.
None times. Probably.
Never.
But this bus company?
It's the issue. If I was traveling by car, then it's not really happening. Good, 2%. That's fine.
Salt, right? Was that you? Yeah.
Yeah, die Carpool ist
Okay, then go for it.
That counts, right?
Okay, that's true. Thank you.
Excuse me, I'm sorry to interrupt you guys. Anna Maria, thank you so much for the presentation. Laura, thank you for the session. I have to leave, but this was amazing. So
Good
thank you
luck.
guys. Nice to see everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
How far do you travel on public transportation each week? Would say 150.
Just look the recording. Yeah, not far very